Welcome back to another video where today we're going to be doing a fluid service on the rear differential for this 2014 Chevy Equinox. So I've owned this Equinox for a few years now, and I'm at the kilometers where I should be servicing the transfer case and rear differential. So today we're going to be doing the rear differential, and I'm going to take you along for that. So there's only going to be a couple items that you're going to need to service the rear differential on this Equinox. We have some 7590 gear oil. We've got our 3H extendable ratchet, and we're going to be using a T10. So I've already lifted the vehicle up off the ground, the front and the rear, evenly. So when we drain the fluid and refill it, we're on a level ground. So the correct amount of fluid is going to go back in. So the rear differential is located in the back end between the two wheels. So let's jump underneath and I'm going to show you where that is. So looking under the back end of the vehicle, in the middle, we have the rear differential here. So right here is going to be your drain plug. And then on the left side over here is going to be our fill plug. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to crack open and remove our fill plug to make sure that that will come out with no problem. And once we have that out, we're then going to crack open the drain plug and we're going to allow the system to drain. So like I mentioned, the fill plug is located back here on the left side of the rear differential. And if you get your car undercoated or it's later in the season, sometimes you may need to clean out the center of the plugs because you'll get a bunch of road debris, which will stop you from being able to put in your T10. So ours is just a little gummed up here. So I actually found I was having a bit of a hard time getting my T10 in there. So I switched over to a 3/8 and I was able to get that in place here. So that will be in tight enough for us to crack open the fill plug, and then we'll move over to our drain. So we've got our ratchet attached and we're going to try to crack open the fill plug. This is definitely one of the tighter areas I've had to work in here. So that cracked out loose. So what I did there was, because it was super tight, I held tension on it and I used the pressure from my other hand to smack it and crack open the plug. So we could see, we can now remove this here by hand. And we've got this out now and it's pretty clean. I don't really see any metal on it. The tip of this would be magnetic, so it'll catch any metal shavings. So we're now ready to remove the drain plug here. And we got that loose. And we're just going to let this sit for a minute and drain out here. And we're going to take a look and see how much of the sludge and metal debris we have here on the actual plug. So the fluid coming out is pretty clean here. And there's a little bit of metal shavings here. It's not too bad. So it looks like it's pretty good shape here. Nothing really to be concerned about. So we've now given the differential time to drain, we're just going to wipe down the front here, make sure we have no grime where the plug is going to make contact. And we're going to reinstall our drain plug here, and we're going to torque this down to 29 foot-pounds. So I'm just going to start by snugging this in and switch over to our torque wrench now. I've already got the torque wrench here set. So that's torqued 29 foot-pounds isn't really a lot. So if you don't have a torque wrench, you could see I got it snug and maybe a quarter turn, and that will be good. So let's knock out the T10 now. So for the drain, I actually did use the T10. I was able to get that into the drain, but the fill ended up being a 3/8 for me. It may have just been rounded out a tiny amount from whoever had done services previously on this differential, because like we saw, the fluid really wasn't that bad. But again, I'm not sure how long this is run without having that service, so it's worth me doing the service on it. And now for the refill. So this rear differential is actually quite small, and it doesn't take a lot of fluid. So it's maybe a quarter of a quart, a little bit more. So we're using the Valvoline bags because of how tight this is. You can use something like a transfer pump as well, but the bags is going to allow me to get up top there and fill this up. So for the differential as well as transfer cases, most of the time with these, they're fill till full situations. So you're just going to fill up the system completely until it starts to run out, and then let it sit for a minute or two and drain out any excess. With you having your vehicle lifted up, you do want to make sure that you have it evenly lifted front to rear, so it gets the proper amount inside. So ours is lifted front to rear evenly, so we can just fill this up until it drips out. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, we are using a 75/90 gear oil. So I have about 3/4 of a bag left because I serviced my 1500 last week. So that's the perfect amount for us to just fill this up here. So with the bag, it's nice because we can just get it into this tighter angle and fill it up without needing to use a transfer pump here. And we can see the consistent stream of run out now and the drip. So that's letting us know that the system is refilled. So now that we're ready to refill, we could see I had quite a bit of just road debris and buildup inside of the drain plug and the fill plug, and that's why I wasn't able to get that T10 in there fully. But I've cleaned out the fill now, and I'm able to get in the T10 without a problem now. So we're going to use our T10 to rethread this back in and torque it down. So this will be the same process as earlier. So we're just going to thread this in by hand, and then I'm just going to use the ratchet to get it tight and then get it to the 29 foot-pounds. So my hands are a little greasy from the oil, so it's definitely a little bit harder to thread this in at this point because the socket just wants to spin freely. So that's tight, and we're now going to throw the torque wrench on it. So again, you could see I got it basically just tight with the ratchet and then another quarter turn with the torque wrench. So if you don't have a torque wrench, you can make away without it. One main thing to keep an eye out for when you take these off is the O-ring or the washer ring on the drain and fill plug. You want to make sure you get that back on to the plug before you go to thread these back in. So if you're just servicing your rear end, you're good now to clean up everything and get the vehicle back down on the ground. Or if you're still going to be servicing your front end now, like maybe your front transfer case or the transmission, you can clean up your back end and move down to the front. So for us, we're all done here for the day. So we're going to just clean up and then get the vehicle lifted back down to the ground. So this has been a pretty quick tutorial on how to service the rear differential on your Chevrolet Equinox or GMC Terrain, the LTZ all-wheel drive version. This will be good for a lot of models, I think, starting at 2013 up to 2018. So if you have any questions about this, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.